Hey everybody, it's that time again. It only happens twice a year, but it's Vinegar Syndrome time. This is the halfway to Black Friday sale purchases. It actually got here pretty quickly, probably because they shipped it via USPS instead of FedEx. If you've been watching my unboxings for a while, you know that FedEx is the bane of my existence when it comes to getting me my Vinegar Syndrome packages, but this only shipped 2 days ago and got here. I'm not a subscriber, but I was part of the Flash pre-order, and so take the order of shipping from what you will from that. I already pre-scored, so go ahead. And figured I'd save the trouble of watching me cut with the knife and everything. And let's just get into it. Oh, I see what's right on top there. Maybe I'll save that for last as I pull things out and talk about them. Not too many purchases. I'm getting to the point now, well, I've been at that point for quite a while actually, where I have most of the Vinegar Syndrome releases that I've ever been interested in. So when these sales come out, obviously there's new stuff I usually want, but I'm getting to the point where there's not a lot of their catalog titles that I want anymore because I've bought so many of them when I had a previous subscription for a year back and then, so, you know, so not a huge selection, but let's just see what we got. Alright, first thing pulling out is the standard edition of Gaspar Noé's Vortex. I slept on this. I didn't buy the limited edition, mainly because I wasn't sure if I wanted to own this, because I've heard that it is devastatingly sad. Dario Argento is one of the actors in it. It's about an older couple, and they both get dementia, and I've heard that it's just very sad. It's also 2 hours and 20 minutes, so not sure how rewatchable it is, but since I got that new spiffy edition of Irreversible, which is a movie I very much like, and I got the Lux Aeterna one, which is a pretty good little short film, kind of like the film version of a novella. I thought, why not? I'll get this, and it has some Q&As and a booklet and good stuff. So I ended up pulling the trigger on it since it was half off. Next, I was surprised that the slipcover for this was still in stock, because I had been vacillating on whether or not to buy this for a while, because it's readily available to watch on like Hulu or something. But I ended up seeing that, alright, it's half off on this sale, it still has the slipcover, so I pulled the trigger on it, and that is Shiva Baby. Shiva Baby is, I believe, about a sugar baby who is at a funeral, and her sugar daddy and his wife are there. I think that's what it's about. It's a comedy, and obviously it has from Bodies, 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 and The Idol. Rachel, is her last name Bennett? Rachel Sennett, not Bennett, in it. And I find Rachel Sennett to be very funny and very attractive, so I figured, why not? I'll go ahead and finally pull the trigger on this. Oh, I didn't talk about the extras like I do. I'm out of practice. It's been a little bit since I've unboxed Vinegar Syndrome. Going back to Vortex, there's a Q&A with Gaspar Noé at the New York Film Festival. There's a different Q&A with him at the IFC Center, a trailer, and there's a booklet by Alexandra Heller-Nicholas. So not too many extras, but still. Anyway, so Shiva Baby. What do we have here? Oh, by the way, that is Region A locked. This also appears to be Region A locked. They're both from the same label. They're both Utopia releases. But this one has the trailer, has a red band trailer. It's got an audio commentary with the writer-director and the cast. It's got a Q&A with the director, and Rachel Sennett, and someone moderates it. And there's a double-sided poster in it. So, and since I'm doing a larger unboxing, I'm not going to open up the cellophane like I do when I'm only unboxing one title, but I believe the disc actually looks like a bagel with schmear on this one. So, yeah, I've heard it's a very good movie. It's very funny. So we'll see if that happens, but I do like Rachel Sennett. And then we come to one of the new releases for Vinegar Syndrome. Those are two partner labels. This is a Vincent proper, and that is Uli Lamel's The Boogeyman. It's the front of the slipcover there, and You Haven't Got a Prayer. That is the back. Never seen this before, but it can't be any worse than that Boogeyman movie that just came out. Actually, that movie's mediocre. It's not terrible. But I've seen clips of this, and I've heard mixed things about it, but I figured it was might as well worth having. It's a 4K. It's a UHD disc. Region free, and it's from 1980. Extras. Plot, it's about a boogeyman, I think. It's just like, I don't know too much about the plot outside of the conceit of it being about a boogeyman. But for extras, so the 4K disc, got the movie, HDR, newly restored from the 35mm camera negative, brand new commentary track, 2 brand new commentary tracks, one with the editor and one with Cat Ellinger. And then the Blu-ray disc has, on top of that, a 39-minute interview with an actress in it, a brand new interview with the cinematographer, that's 34 minutes. There is an 8-minute interview with a different actress. There is a 20-minute interview with the editor. There is a new interview with the camera operator, that's 15 minutes. An archival interview with the writer-director, Uli Lamel, 18 minutes. Trailer, TV spots. So those are some pretty hefty, I mean, we're talking like 30-minute, 40-minute interviews for some of these things. I guess the editor is very willing to talk about the movie since he also has a commentary. But yeah, looking forward to checking that out. It seems like it's, you know, cheesy 80s horror goodness. Who doesn't love that? And then they did, as they usually do, sometimes they do slipcovers for movies that don't have them, or they do new slipcovers for movies where the slipcover is long out of print. And they did these in the style of like Polish or even like Soviet posters. So this is for a title I already own. It's actually a double feature. It is Battle for the Lost Planet and Mutant War. So this is the Battle for the Lost Planet front there, and that's the back for Mutant War. Battle for the Lost Planet, a very fun movie. It's like a space movie. It's got some stop-motion animation creatures and everything. It's got some really funny lines in it. It's great. Mutant War, which is sort of the sequel, but they don't connect very well. Mutant War is pretty fucking terrible. But Battle for the Lost Planet, I actually quite enjoyed it. It was good, you know, cheesy goodness. You know, it's definitely made in the 80s, but it still has the stop motion, so it has that sort of Ray Harryhausen 50s feel to it as far as old sci-fi, but it was fun. So I had the standard edition of the movie, saw the slipcover, thought, sure, I'll get the slip for it. Then we have, this was one of the new releases as well, and unlike The Boogeyman, which was announced when they did the Flash pre-order, this one they didn't announce until, well, Black Friday, actually, and the sale went live. This is Night Screams. I don't know too much about Night Screams, except that it's, I believe it's a slasher, or maybe slasher adjacent. And I've heard mostly positive things from people who like a movie like this. Anyway, this is the front of the slipcover. This is the back with the rubber ducky and the... What do you call those lights? It's the light that Dean Stockwell sings into, or lip-syncs into in Blue Velvet when he's lip-syncing Roy Orbison's in Dreams. You see in construction sites. I don't know, but it's that kind of light. So... Actually, let's see what... Football player, scholarship, festivities, and nightclub. Oh, two violent fugitives. Then they're beset upon some high school students partying. Yeah, so kind of they're not at home, but kind of home invasion slashery. Okay. Anyway, so this is region free. It's 4K, obviously. It's from 1987. 4K disc. It's got the 85-minute theatrical cut with HDR, newly restored from 35mm negative. And a commentary track with the director, the cinematographer, and it's moderated by Ewan Kant, I believe that's that person's name. And then there's 2 different Blu-ray discs. The first Blu-ray disc has an 80-minute brand new making-of documentary with various interviews from the cast and crew, and the original trailer. And then on disc 2, there's an alternate cut of the movie. It is the reconstruction of the 80-minute pre-release cut, along with an introduction from the executive producer and the producer co-writer. So it's 5 minutes shorter than the theatrical cut. I wonder if it's better, worse, very different. I don't know. But this seems like the kind of thing that's up my alley and the kind of release that a lot of us wish Vinegar Syndrome put out more of these days, which is just like, you know, 80s horror, just straight ahead 80s horror, because it seems like they're moving into a weird thing where they're doing a lot of chopsocky kung fu stuff that I'm not really into, and that's why I didn't buy a lot of those titles. And then the piece de resistance, I think, of this sale Certainly, it's one of their MGM mainstream titles, and it's got the nice like VSU box and everything. And of course, it is the Joe Esterhazy penned, Paul Verhoeven directed Showgirls. Showgirls, the movie that totally killed the NC-17 rating from ever being used for a mainstream wide release movie ever again. Came out in 1995. I do remember going to the theater and that they had 2 ushers stand at the door of the theater for the entire length of the movie, like bouncers. So yeah. The NC-17 rating was kind of dead on arrival anyways, as Karina Longworth says on her podcast. Introduced in 1990 to replace the X rating, but it could never really escape the stigma of X, and then, you know, having a trashy, nudity-filled movie did not help it. So this is the front of the box. Back of the box just says Hot Girls and has the credits. And like most of the VSUs, or all of the VSUs, got the magnet opening. And let's see, can I show this? Yeah, there's just some scantily clad stuff, but there's no nudity. So inside the box is some like fake advertisements that you might see in one of those like free nudie porn rag newspaper things, and for the Crave Club, or yeah, Crave Club, not the Cheetah Lounge, but the so that's there. And like a VSU, we got the booklet, and this is a little bit more in line with the theatrical poster art, where it's just like a sliver of Elizabeth Berkley's body, though this is her laying down as opposed to standing up. Booklets, a lot of art, a lot of essays, stills. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any major nudity in there, so I can do a quick flip book. Yep, but you have to buy it to see all the pages, unless someone else scans it. And then for the slipcover, there's a whole lot of ass. So we got dancing and dancing. And then the disc proper has leave your inhibitions at the door. I always thought it was leave your ambition at the door. Maybe it's maybe I was Mandela in effect, the tagline. But this is the more traditional cover art and poster art for Showgirls. So Showgirls is if you've never seen it before, and I assume most of you have, but if you've never seen it before, it's kind of a trashy, unofficial remake of All About Eve, and about sort of, you can view it as a metaphor for Hollywood and stardom and unhealthy ambition toward that. It's very campy. My guess is that Paul Verhoeven, or rather Joe Esterhazy, meant it to be serious because he's a hack. But Paul Verhoeven added his normal layer of humor to it, and that's what gives the movie its campy goodness. So, yeah, some people like it as a so bad it's good movie, and certainly as part of that, there famously is a scene where the 2 female leads of the movie bond over the different dog food that they ate as children. That happens. But I do enjoy it on the level of its just sort of kitschy, campy, over-the-top, humorous vibe that it's going for, because there's a lot of interesting writing decisions, and then the director does what he can, and obviously there's that famous swimming pool sex scene, which, much like the sex scene in Tommy Wiseau's The Room, body parts aren't lining up the way that they need to for intercourse. So I was disappointed that when they announced the extras on this, they were not able to include the feature-length documentary You Don't Know Me, which is sort of a retrospective of Showgirls and the latter-day fandom that's popped up with it, especially in queer culture and camp culture. But it looks like they were able to get a bunch of other stuff here, so let's see. Contains the original NC-17 cut of Showgirls in HDR, newly restored from an existing studio master. And it looks like there is a commentary track by David Schmader. I don't know who that is. Blu-ray Disc 1, it has just the movie and the commentary. Blu-ray Disc 2, it has an interview with Paul Verhoeven. It doesn't give any of the times on these extras, but an interview with Paul Verhoeven, an interview with Joe Esterhazy. He hasn't written anything in a while. Let's see, an interview with the cinematographer and the performance light designer. Looks like they're combined. Interview with the co-editors. Interview with Raina Rafael, one of the actresses. I forget if she's the one who made the sort of unofficial sequel Showgirls 2, which I've never seen. Let's see, there's an interview with Peaches Christ from the Midnight Mass podcast and Michael Valenti. And there's a special behind-the-scenes featurette, Showgirl Diary, and a lap dance tutorial featuring the world-famous Girls of Scores. Scores is a famous strip club. Howard Stern used to talk about it all the time in his show. What was I going to say? No interview with Elizabeth Berkley, or not really any of the other stars. Yeah, no Berkley, no Kyle MacLachlan, no Gina Gershon. I guess that's a little disappointing, but what do you expect? Robert Davi probably would have sat down for this. I don't know. And I'm surprised they didn't put in the edited for TV cut where they shoddily draw in bikinis on the topless women. It's been a little bit since I've... the Blu-rays are Region A locked, by the way. It's been a while since I've watched Showgirls. I think the last time I watched it was a couple years ago when I showed it to my ex-fiancée when she was curious about it. But we're talking probably like 2019 or 2018 or 2019 is the last time I watched this. So I'm fairly familiar with it, so revisiting it isn't going to be like, oh, I'm rediscovering something new. I'm pretty familiar with the content of Showgirls. Obviously, I wasn't able to see it in 1995 because I was under 18 at the time. But I've seen it numerous times since. I think the first time I saw it was actually the edited for TV version, and it was years later that maybe not years later, but it was a little later after that HBO would actually show it, and I think that was when I saw it. And then at some point I bought it on DVD just to have it because it's a fun movie. But yeah, I never upgraded to Blu-ray, and there's been many Blu-ray editions. I remember there was like, back when people were having like Showgirls parties, they came out with an edition that had like shot glasses and like kitschy Spencer's Gift type stuff. But yeah, so that was where, let's see, I had 1 slipcover and 5 titles. 2 partner labels, 3 actual Vinegar Syndrome titles, one of them being a VSU, and a new slipcover for a old title. So not bad there. I did get shipping notification for my partner label purchases. I bought something for the partner label, and then a couple days later they're like, hey, if you $5 coupon if you want. And there was one other title that I was on the fence about, and I figured, whatever, I'll use that. And I now have enough points to finally get that door hanger. But if for any of the rewards for the Vinegar Syndrome rewards program, you can't just have a cart that only has that in checkout. You need to purchase something with a reward thing you're reimbursing in order to get it in checkout. So I guess I'll have to wait till July 1st comes, and we'll see if there's any titles I want then, and then I can finally get my much sought-after door hanger reward. And then after that, as I build up more points, maybe some of the other slipcovers or whatever I'll want. But that's it for that. So yeah, whenever those partner labels get to me, I'll unbox those. But otherwise, just a few days ago, I put up my unboxing of the Cinemark Ghost Face popcorn bucket and drink cups. And at the end of that video, I talked about everything that's going on and what to expect going forward. So you can go back and watch that if you're wondering what's happening after this. But otherwise, thanks for stopping by and watching this unboxing, everybody, and I hope you have a good one.